Joining me today is the president of Maxicare, Sean Argos. Sean, welcome to Methods to Greatness.
Thank you for having me again, John. Last time was a memorable experience for the both of us.
It was.
So very different setting, right?
If I recall, there was blood, sweat, and tears involved in that
Yes,
one,
yes.
literally.
Yeah, all three, trifecta in one go. And very different setting.
Very different setting. So last time we were together, we did an interview with you guys, and we were actually in Timberland, up in the mountains, doing something that you're very passionate about. What is this thing? I just want for our listeners and
So we
viewers
were
to be
with
able
Toby, Claudio back then.
we were
right?
with Toby Claudio.
So
Yes.
we were mountain biking in Timberland Mountain Bike Park. So that's something that I do fairly regularly, every week if I can. So it's really a passion of mine. It's as you can see, we're in a different environment. I think that's the appeal of mountain biking. It's so different from the corporate world, and gives me the opportunity to reset, refresh, and prepare for the next week.
Yeah, you're a very successful executive, right? I mean, you're the president of Maxicare, which millions of people know, and you obviously have to be at a place where you practice what you preach, right? But you mentioned your mountain biking hobby, your sport, but I'm going to talk about that. But first, I want to rewind for a little bit back to the days when you were just first starting out. Because I see you're a successful executive. I cannot relate because I've always been an entrepreneur. So I've never been in the corporate setting. But I see someone like you've made a name for yourself. And I just want to be able to understand, like when you were first starting out in the corporate world, what was that like for you? And did you always imagine that one day you would be the head, the president of such a big organization?
Well, it's not something that I really set out to be or become. Starting out, I think I just wanted to earn money.
Okay.
So you could go out with friends.
Exactly.
Right? So this is so far from what I envisioned for myself. So I think what's worked for me throughout the years and what really drove my career is the interactions and the mentorship of those around me. Not necessarily my bosses, but my colleagues and my peers. And when I look inwardly, I wouldn't have been successful without these people around me. So I always challenge those that say they're self-made millionaires, like this guy who built a car brand or who sends rockets into space, right? Even someone like that is never self-made. Again, it's based on the support of peers, parents, colleagues. And I was fortunate enough to have that throughout my career, and it's really shaped, who I am today and propelled me to where I am right now. And I really was conscious about those types of opportunities. I think I learned that early on. So I had mentors, at the start of my career. For example, my first job, I was actually a programmer at Software Ventures. This was in 1998. And, when we look at the bosses there, who I still interact with today, like Ben Coronel. She was our big boss back then, so I learned a lot from her. And even Chona Ahoro, who was HR. Having the opportunity to interact with them and learn from them, I think really gave me, a perspective of what was important for the business. And that's where your personal effort comes in. Once you understand the value of your role, the ambition of the company, then you bring in your own personal equity into this and build something and align with your peers and your bosses. So, that's a philosophy I've taken forward throughout the years. And, I've been in technology, telecommunications, most of my career. Healthcare is fairly new. In fact, prior to joining Maxicare, I had zero experience in healthcare. But joining the Equicom group and through the mentorship of fantastic leaders like Rene Bonaventura, of course our group chair really is the driving force behind Maxicare, Mr. Tony Go, and even recently Mr. Lance Gokongwei as a strategic partner in Maxicare and Maxi Group. It's about learning from these really fantastic and unique individuals who themselves learned a lot of things from their fathers.
Right, from their own mentors, right?
From their own mentors. So, it's really about being part of something bigger, not just a bigger company, but a bigger collective of really talented people. And maybe not, when I say talented, it's not about being smart. A talent could be learning how to, or knowing how to work with other people and knowing how to motivate other people towards a certain goal. Talented means being ultra sharp with numbers, or talent could be being very intuitive and very entrepreneurial, and try being able to scale that as a business, like Maxicare. So all of these things you would see from the leaders that I've had the opportunity to interact with. And again, not just leaders, through peers as well, and even your subordinates, right? So, yeah. So that's it. The long answer to your short question.
Yeah. Is there any particular piece of advice or interaction that stands out when you said to yourself, okay, that really opened my mind?
What I can share is that the interactions, as you put it, that open your mind and allow you to change direction or to adapt, those are the most valuable interactions. For example, when I first had a conversation with Mr. Go and Mr. Bonaventura about shifting to healthcare and an HMO, I wasn't expecting that, right? So, but it was a challenge, and I think we had a conversation about having a fresh perspective on how the business should evolve, because the ambition, even back then, was to help as many people as possible by providing, the tools and the resources for anyone to improve and better their health and those around them. That ambition back then is still our ambition now. Maybe distilled, reworded, clarified, and updated to the times, but it's still the same. So it's that challenge and that shift, and say, let's do something different, right? And being able to trust, inputs from other people, and being able to, I wouldn't say surrender, but allow yourself to be changed. So I think those are the pivotal moments. I guess pivot is all about change then. Yeah.
When I have my personal interactions with you on a social setting, as opposed to seeing you here in in your home turf. Because my impression of you is that, okay, you're a pretty likable guy. I mean, you know how to talk to people, right? You're jovial. How important is being what you are, being likable, being someone who communicates well, as opposed to maybe someone who maybe does not have that personality, and also does not speak like you? Do you think that is a factor to you getting to where you are? Or is that completely sometimes also a matter of luck?
Well, the jury's still out, John, whether I'm likable or not. It depends on who you ask.
Okay.
It depends on who
Fair
you
enough,
ask.
fair enough.
And maybe it has a lot to do with the setting. Right?
Okay.
But I think the key thing there is the ability to engage. Mr. Rede Buenaventura once told me, at least from his experience, success is also largely about being able to engage, to motivate people, to get people to work towards a common, goal or cause. Success is not, at least in our world, in the corporate world, it's not purely, individual success. Far from it, right? And especially now things are more complex. I think the problems that we're solving are a lot more complicated. It requires the effort of a village, a lot of people. So I wouldn't say being likable or jovial is the primary, I guess, quality here, but it's always being able to engage, always being able to communicate. And sometimes these engagements are tough conversations. And again, that's something that I had to learn. And maybe sometimes being likable or the desire to be liked holds you back. And like they say, feedback, frank feedback is a form of kindness. Right? So it's being able to recognize, again, the conversations that you need to have, and being able to engage in a manner that is required by the situation, whether it be through a jovial conversation or a frank conversation. But I guess ending the conversation still in an aligned manner, and then having all parties understand what has to be done.
Right.
Yeah. I think earlier on, you try to find your place in the world, in the team. And as you progress through your career, because of your role, your scope, and your mandate, from being along for the ride and being a part of the team, you now become, you take a more deliberate approach. You work with the organization to structure it in a manner that, ensures all parts of the organization have a clear mandate. All parts of the organization understand what needs to be done and their role in the grand scheme of things. And it's about identifying individuals who would fit that role. Not 100%, because I don't think anyone would fit a role perfectly, but close enough that the essence of the role, which is deliberately designed and captured and articulated, so there's that fit. Then, alignment is always key. And as you move up and as you progress through your career, you cannot leave alignment to chance. So I think that's how I've also been able to keep up with the demands of I guess the responsibility and the accountability given to me by the shareholders or our stakeholders. And that way, it's not about guesswork. Everything's very clear. The clearer things are for teams and individuals, then the better position to execute successfully.
Right. You take a look at the families here in the Philippines. There are similarities sometimes with how their organizations are run. Sometimes there are very stark differences. And they say that you should just hire the best, most brilliant people and just get out of their way, right? In the case of Maxicare, I think they've done a great job with professionalizing and also getting people like you to be part of the organization, running the organization. I just want to find out, like, how much leeway does that afford you, being in your position? You have so many stakeholders that rely on you, Sean, to make the right decisions. What's it like being at the top? And, is it really as hard as they say? Is it really that lonely at the top, being in your position?
I think even the workplace has evolved. When you look at, I hesitate to say the previous generation.
Okay.
And you compare it to the way conglomerates and companies are run today. It's shifted from personality and individual based, which was appropriate for the time. Because I think that the previous generation is more entrepreneurial and intuitive, really, in approach. Those things have not disappeared. But I think what's changed today is that, I guess, entered a more structured approach to building high-performance organizations. Right now, it's all about, again, not really structure, but alignment. Today, when we engage the ExCom and the board and the shareholders, we have very, very clear governance and very clear authority and accountability at all levels of the organization. Some say that would be limiting, but it's actually the reverse. Counterintuitively, if you know the boundaries, then you can be as aggressive as possible within the boundaries and expectations. And when I say boundaries, it's not like we're boxed into you just do this. No? In fact, the boundaries of, for example, what is our risk appetite, who makes what decision, and at what point do we socialize this decision to a bigger group so that we have 100% alignment on that choice. No? And the bigger the decision, right, I think it's better to have more voices, because to execute a big decision, you need, again, the support. Absolutely, everyone above, shareholders. For maybe if you're asking for more capital, your peers, because we all have to work on the tough challenges together, and you're the rest of the team, your subordinates, because they have to believe and trust in what we set out as a direction or a decision.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said about being bound by certain constraints that actually allow you to be able to flex your resources better. Right. It's like what they say. There's a saying that you have to first know the rules in order to break them.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And find that that's true in your case.
No, I think it's true for everyone. What's important is to work with, again, this all of the stakeholders to appropriately dimension these guardrails. the guardrails appropriate for the situation or the ambition or the outcome. It's like a highway, diba? You put in guardrails so you don't fall off a
Right.
cliff, right? And if you know there are some protections in place, then you can afford to be a bit more, I guess, aggressive.
Right. Aggressive, not reckless, right?
Not reckless,
Yeah.
more aggressive, not reckless, but there's always, this backstop, that will trigger maybe a review or trigger another process so that once we get to that backstop, then another decision is made, right?
Right.
So, but until you hit that point, then we can make decisions faster. We can be more agile. We can move as a team without really worrying about, without second guessing ourselves and the decisions that we're making.
The last time we talked about Maxicare, I was really intrigued with the direction of the company. I think you have a very tough job of trying to build out all of these primary care clinics. What's the count now of your clinics?
Well,
And what's your projection?
We currently have 36 clinics today. For this year, we would like to build 20 more at a minimum.
Just this year.
This year. Then Mr. Tony Goss set a goal of 86 by next year. So that would require
Wow.
building 30 more next year.
You're gonna be a busy man. It's not like you're not busy now, but I'm sure
Yeah.
that's going to cause also a lot of problems across.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
And
the
it's
bigger
part-
you get, right?
Absolutely. It's part of the planning process, and it's part of corporate strategy. And again, taking this direction from the board, the key stakeholders and shareholders, and translating that into action. Yes, it's going to be tough. Yes, it's a stretch. But again, since we know the ask and we're aligned in terms of what we have to deliver, we made deliberate decisions on org capability. So we said, the folks who are operating the clinics today, we have like Pinette who leads, Maxi Health, who runs all the clinics. So we're now able to make this very deliberate choice and say, the clinic team, you focus on operating the clinic. We unburden you with the task of building them. And we shifted that to a different team. So the team building the clinic. So we now have, a separation of duties. And it's really, working with the organization, working with HR, understanding what the ambition is and what are the units of work, that we have to get across the line to execute, and deciding who should do what. Right? So yes, it's going to be tough, but we're confident in our ability to deliver.
Is there a danger of growing too fast?
There's always a danger, and that's where the guardrails again come in, right? There's always this, I wouldn't say a tripwire, but there are certain checkpoints where, we say, hey, let's revisit this, or, now we reach a point where can we move faster? Let's take a pause and revisit and secure buy-in again. Right? So we minimize the chances of catastrophic mistakes. Our goal is not to make no mistakes, right? Our goal is to manage the risks to an acceptable level where we can continue to push the boundaries while operating with them and giving us the opportunity to revisit these boundaries. Should they be expanded? Should the guardrails be pushed out? And it's a constant evaluation process. Right?
Sean, I want to understand the current setup now, because I've always known Maxicare just as Maxicare, but as I understand now, I think you've brought in a few more divisions, or you've expanded. So what's the structure like right now?
Right. Again, it's because of this process that we have for defining our ambition, what we want to be, what we want to do, who do we want to do it for, and going back and looking at what it takes to be successful. So first we defined where to play and how to win. So when we looked at what we wanted to do, we wanted to help as many Filipinos invest in their own health and the health of their loved ones so that they can live their best lives. Now with that ambition, how do we bring that to life? And we said, the traditional HMO business will only get us so far. So HMOs are more suited for group. And we look at the HMO industry, it's your company who buys,
Exactly.
your coverage.
Right.
And, We needed a way for individuals to vote with their wallet and to make their own personal choices on how much to spend for whom and what matters to them. So that necessitated a rethink of the type of products we wanted to develop and the capabilities needed to bring these products to market successfully. And through this process, we said that we need to be a healthcare company in addition to an HMO company. And we also had to be a life insurance company because we wanted to take accountability for helping you live longer. If we're a healthcare company that allows individuals to invest in their own care on top of what the company buys as an HMO, we're making a bet that we can make you live longer.
Right.
And you're healthier.
It actually makes sense.
Yeah. So we're stitching everything together. And that's why we now have 3 companies in the group. We have an HMO, that's our core business and still the largest company in the
That is
group.
Maxicare.
That's Maxicare. Then we
Okay.
have Maxicare Health Services.
Okay. Those are the clinics.
Those are the clinics, the provider side of the business that provide healthcare services directly, not just through third parties. Then we have Maxi Life, which is the life insurance company. So our concept is, we want to be able to stack all of these benefits and resources into one individual. So, for example, for me, I can have my employer, who's Maxicare, buy the basic HMO coverage for myself. Then I can make a decision to, let's say, hey, I want more coverage for critical illness, for cancer. I want to insure myself against death. So, I don't have to worry about my family and buy a Maxi Life insurance policy that just focuses on pure protection. No investment, because that's not aligned with our core. We leave that to the fintech companies and the banks. So we strip everything out of insurance and make it all about protection. Then,
So it's a savings mechanism, essentially.
I wouldn't say no savings, but, it's about financial protection against risk. So it's more about just straight up, like if you die, you get 5 million. Or if you get cancer, God forbid, right, you get an additional 10 million. And you decide how you want to spend that. And once you make that decision on how you want to spend these additional resources, then Maxi Health comes in and stretches your peso and assists you through, your patient journey.
If you get the policy from Maxi Life, are you necessarily bound to?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily, but there are synergies there. For example, if you're covered by an HMO or us, right, when you get a blood test and we detect a critical illness as part of administering your HMO benefit, then we want to offer a better experience on the health insurance side so that you don't need to file a claim.
Okay.
For example, or at least we simplify the claim process because we already know on the HMO side, right? Or if your loved one is hospitalized and they lose some income because they can't go to work, then the daily hospital income benefit kicks in so that we give you the money to compensate for the loss in income while you focus on getting better. And again, we abbreviate the claim process because we know you're confined on one side of the business. We just pay out, automatically without you going through the normal paperwork. And that's the kind of value that we want to bring to our clients.
Sean, what's the most, what's the best thing that you like about your job?
I think 2 ways to answer that question. I think that the one that gives me the most day-to-day joy that gets me out of bed is knowing that I have a fantastic team, when I get to the office and no matter what problem we have, we have the talent, we have the alignment, and we have this single-minded focus to deliver on our ambition in everyone here in this building and in all of our offices now. We can come into the office and I can rely on them. Tough challenges, I have the confidence that we will overcome. And that gives me a lot of, motivation to continue, working on these very, very difficult problems. I think in terms of what brings me joy, the other facet of it, it's seeing just the stats in terms of the kind of care that we enable. Like, how many people have we saved today? How many babies did we facilitate, bringing into this planet, this earth, and this mortal plane? And, people that, that walk into the emergency room, that get the care that they need. So just that, beyond the pesos, all of the lives that, we touch. If you go down to the ground floor, I don't think it's there anymore because we renovated. We used to have a wall,
Okay.
a wall that has these stats. How many stents did we implant? How many, coronary bypasses did we support? And we'll have a video wall out here. So, we'll have dynamic content displaying that just so that everyone sees, the kind of impact that we're making. So for me, that brings me a lot of happiness. Right? The impact, the real impact that continues to grow every day.
It's amazing how a company can play a part in preserving one's health. And now I think it's more along the lines of preventive for you, right? I mean, you yourself, you're very active. You always go to the mountains and mountain bike. I've experienced that with you. Fortunately, I did not get into an accident that time. But I want to hear from you, as the leader of this organization. How important is it to really take care of yourself? Because you obviously have to walk the talk. Is it deliberate, like in terms even of your interaction with people? Are you more encouraging now that this is your mindset within the company, preventive, just taking care of yourself? Is it something that you feel has, taken over as well your life and how you approach other people?
Yeah, and I think taking care of yourself, being healthier, and having this ownership, personal ownership in your own well-being is very important. Yes, your HMO is there to help you when you get sick, when your cholesterol shoots through the roof. But you need to have that sense of ownership on your own, right? And being healthy doesn't mean being as fit as John and and being like going through an obstacle course. You have to make it personal, as long as you're committed to improving yourself and you have that mindset. I think that's what's important, and that's what we want to communicate to everyone. I'm sure you've spoken to Bobby about his advocacy about eating right. It's not about being vegan
So
or
Bobby,
vegetarian.
Bobby is the chairman of Maxicare.
Yes. So it's not about being vegan or vegetarian 100% of the time and not indulging. It's about the accumulation of good choices, positive choices, and making that specific to your situation. Because I can never be vegan or vegetarian, right? But you can take elements of that and gradually incorporate that into your own lifestyle and being consistent.
Exactly.
You don't have to be super slim. You don't have to be buff or fit, but all that's required for you to make a positive change is this pursuit of small, constant improvements and small positive choices. Now, you can have a burger or two and 3 beers.
Which I think is a very
it's
healthy
fine.
way of looking at it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because I think people sometimes they feel like, okay, I have to go completely vegan or I have
Yeah.
to stop one thing. Like even for me, that was, I underwent that like last year, starting January, I completely stopped consuming alcohol, right? But I came to a point where, I said, hey, it's our anniversary tonight. I want to join my wife, not finish that bottle of wine, but, partake.
Absolutely.
Right?
yeah.
So that's what I learned from Bobby as well, is that you don't have to be so dogmatic about, setting out to improve one aspect of your life. I mean, like you said, have that burger, have that glass of wine.
Yeah.
I think what's important is that it's a sustainable effort towards going after something
Right.
that you
Yeah.
feel is going to be good for your health.
Yeah. And it's a decision you have to make for yourself. Like, I have no aspiration of having a six-pack. Because I can't. No, but my goal is I should be able to be active enough to continue enjoying the outdoors. Whenever my wife, wants me to reach for a box, above her cabinet, I still can. and having the energy to come here, and to work with the team. So each of us should decide what we want for ourselves, and that's really what we also as a company and as a group want to enable. That's our philosophy. Whatever you as an individual choose to invest in, whatever is important for you, because we're all about the being in healthcare. We'll be there for you. We'll give you the resources that you need and you want. But it's your choice.
Right.
Yeah?
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, yeah.
Right.
Your choice.
So it's your choice at the end of the day to live your best life.
Absolutely. Because only you can decide what your best life is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Sean, it's been a pleasure.
Yep. Yeah, thank you.
I think one of these days I will join you again for another bike ride.
Yes.
And
sooner rather than later.
Sooner rather than later, but I really wish you the best with the future for Maxicare.
Thank you.
I have every ounce of confidence that says that, to me, I think the organization is up for great things. I really believe in what you do. I myself have experienced going to your clinics, working with you. There's really a reason behind what you're doing. There is a higher purpose. Like you said, it's not just about the numbers, it's the impact. And I truly believe and admire you and the organization for what you do. And I thank you for everything that you've done for the Filipino people.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words.
Thanks, Sean.
Okay, thank you.